Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Christine, and I am going to be talking today about all of the books on my 2025 TBR. So if you've clicked on this video, welcome. This is my first video in a very long time. If you've been here before, you might have remembered I made a bunch of videos back in maybe 2021, 2022, and I was going through a lot in my life at the time. I was moving countries, I was working a lot, and with everything, I just got really overwhelmed. So it's been a long time, and I finally wanted to dive back in. I really enjoyed making videos when I did it before, and I just feel a lot more confident now and a lot more ready to tackle this. So part of my goals for 2025 is to tackle my TBR. I have an ever-growing pile of books that is not shrinking, but I was able to go through all the books I have that I have not read that are mine. These are a mix of my books and my husband's books. And I only have 25 books on my shelf that are mine, that I'm interested in reading, that I have not read yet. So I thought, what better way to kick off the year and my relaunch of this channel than to talk about the 25 books I want to tackle from my own shelves in 2025. I've sorted these books by season and time of year, so I am a very big mood reader, and I'm often choosing what I read based on how I think the setting of the book will be. Like, if it seems like it's a very wintry book, I'll choose to read it in the colder winter months. And it is quite cold here in Pennsylvania where I am living now. Let's jump into the 25 books I want to read from my own shelves in 2025. I do want to mention it is a little bit later in January, so some of these books I have read already, but I will not be saying anything about that until a later video when I wrap up my thoughts and feelings about each of these books that I've read for the beginning of the year. I'm going to start off with my winter stack. This is a pretty big stack. I'm usually very motivated at the beginning of the year, so I want to try to ride that wave as long as I can and get through as many books as I can in these first 2 months. First up, we have Welcome to the Hyunam Bookshop. This is a translation from Korean, and it is by Hwang Bo-ram. It follows the day in the life of a bookshop owner who left a previous career. We learn more about her past, her dreams, her ambitions, and her fears in running this bookshop, and how it just becomes a place for the community to come together. Next is Homeseeking by Carissa Chen. This is a tale of two people who met as children and were childhood best friends and lovers, who were then separated by the Chinese Civil War and did not see each other for 6 decades and come back together. The two storylines are intertwined, with one moving forward and one moving backwards across multiple different countries and cities. And I have really great things to say about this book, but that will be in a later video. Getting more into the winter theme, we have The Foxwife by Yang Jie-chu. This is inspired by Chinese folklore and follows our main character, who is a fox, and our other main character, who is a private investigator detective, and it follows their journey across China, across Japan, as our foxwife is out seeking revenge for the death of her child. The next book I would like to finish in these cold winter months is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. This is book 2 in the Poppy War trilogy. I started this book in 2024, and one thing about me is if the characters are moving across, are taking part of their journey on a boat, and it is taking too long, I will get bored and I will stop reading. So I did set this down for quite a long time. Fortunately, it is such a vividly written book. I remember a lot of what happened prior to where I am now. So yes, this is what I'm currently reading, and I did not restart this because I remember pretty well what happened in the first 250 pages that I read. So next up for me is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. This winter, I would also love to tackle 100 Years of Solitude. I have heard nothing but amazing things about this book. I did get this edition from Thrift Books. I've never seen this cover before, but it was $2.99, so really can't say no to that. So next up for me is 100 Years of Solitude. Before the weather gets warmer, I also would love to read How High We Go in the Dark. This is a collection of intertwined short stories that create a novel by Sequoia Nagamatsu. This takes place when a grieving archaeologist arrives in the Arctic Circle to continue the work of his deceased daughter, a researcher who was studying long-buried secrets now revealed in melting permafrost, including the preserved remains of a girl who died of an ancient virus. So this seems like it is going to be a very fascinating read, and I've heard also great things about this. I did get this for Christmas, just this past Christmas, and it is pretty high up there on my list of books to read early this year. Another thrift book that I have never read, but most people have by this point, is Night by Elie Wiesel. I also got this from Thrift Books. My husband has read this book and highly recommended it to me. It is pretty short, but I'm sure it is going to be very heavy. To finish up the cold winter months, I am adding a romance to my pile because, you know, it's going to be Valentine's Day. You have to read a romance book in February. And this is Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail by Ashley Herring Blake. I found this book in the little free library around the corner from my apartment and instantly grabbed it. It was still in pristine condition. It looks like it wasn't even opened. So I am so excited with this find. I did read Delilah Green Doesn't Care quite a few years ago and really enjoyed it. So as a fan of this author, I am going to read this one for Valentine's Day. Moving right along, we have my spring TBR, again, all from my own bookshelves. My spring list is a little bit shorter, but also a little bit more dense. So I am hoping to tackle The Burning God. This is the third book in the Poppy War trilogy by R.F. Kuang, and also the longest. So we're going to be starting off spring really strong with a nice long fantasy. To help break up that long book and some of the other long books that I will be enjoying in the spring, I also have Trick Mirror by Gia Tolentino. I've had this on my shelf for years. I bought this at the Strand when I lived in New York City, and I believe I started the first essay and maybe got a couple pages in, but there was something else going on at the time that took away my attention. The biggest book on my shelf that I am hoping to tackle, yes, you might know it. This is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This is the prequel to The Priory of the Orange Tree, which I read last year and was just obsessed with. I didn't even notice the book was over 1,000 pages. It was just so enjoyable and I loved every page of it. So I am really looking forward to this, but big books do intimidate me, so I need to be in the right mindset. So hopefully when the days are a little warmer, a little longer, I can go hang out at the park, read for a couple hours, I will be tackling this book. It is also very fitting in the spring when the cherry blossoms start to bloom and the peach blossoms. I will be reading Peach Blossom Spring by Melissa Fu. This was one of my most recent book of the month picks, and this is a moving debut novel about war, migration, and the power of telling our stories that follows 3 generations of a Chinese family on their search for a place to call home. Another book that I am very, very late to the game on. This is a book that's been on my shelf again for years and I just haven't picked up yet, but I have heard nothing but good things about, and that is The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. So I really don't know what to say about this other than the number of times I have been told to read this book and I have just had it sitting on my shelf it's too high, I need to do it, And I think the spring, again, is going to be the perfect time for this because I know it is a little bit heavier. I've heard it's pretty sad. So I am going to save this for when I'm getting a little bit more sunshine and can hopefully handle all of the weight of these stories. And the last story I have for the spring is another story of migration, and that is Real Americans by Rachel Kwong. So Real Americans begins in New York City on the precipice of Y2K when 22-year-old Lily Chen meets Matthew. Her and Matthew go on to fall in love, and we follow the story of their love as well as a story of their 15-year-old son in the year 2021. So I am very much looking forward to reading this. I did start this last year when I first got it, but I only got 22 pages in, so I will be just restarting this from the beginning when I pick it up again in the spring. Next is my shortest stack of books, and this is my summer stack. Because by the summer I will have some new books on my shelves. Just because we are tackling the TBR does not mean that we are stopping. And I have in the past typically hit a bit of a reading slump in the summer. It gets too hot, I'm cranky, I'm tired, I really don't like the heat. So I tend to just do a whole lot of nothing. I hit a reading slump, but we are going to try to avoid that this year. We're going to try to avoid the reading slump that I happen to hit every single year in the summer and hopefully push our way through with some good books. First up on that list, I have Blue Sisters by Coco Malors. I did start this and I put it down. I was having trouble getting into it. I don't know if it is the time of year that I started it. Maybe I was in a reading slump. This was from September. It was my birthday. I was getting ready to get married in a month. So yeah, it was a pretty busy time of year. From what I do remember, the first two characters I've already been introduced to were not very likable. We're going to give this another chance, see if these characters become a bit more relatable. Maybe I'll be able to relate to them a little bit more as they grow and come back together. Right now they are separated in different parts of the world, and they all come back together after the tragic death of their fourth sister. So the premise of this sounds great. It sounds like something I would really enjoy. I think I just need to give it another shot. The next book that I am so excited to read, I have had this on my shelf for too long now, and I have picked it up in the past. I was really busy and maybe read 2 or 3 pages and then returned it to the library. And that is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I have heard so many wonderful things about this book. It did win Book of the Year from Book of the Month in 2022. I believe it won some other awards as well. But just even this cover art, it's so amazing. So let's just take a look here at our little synopsis. This is one of my most anticipated books for 2025. On a bitter cold day in the December of his junior year at Harvard, Sam Mazer exits a subway car and sees amid the hordes of people waiting on the platform Sadie Green. He calls her name. For a moment she pretends she hasn't heard him, but then she turns and a game begins, a legendary collaboration that will launch them to stardom. These friends, intimate since childhood, borrow money, beg favors, and even before graduating college, they have created their first blockbuster, Ichigo. Overnight, the world is theirs. Not even 25 years old, Sam and Sadie are brilliant, successful, and rich, but these qualities won't protect them from their own creative ambitions or the betrayals of their hearts. Spanning 30 years from Cambridge, Massachusetts to Venice Beach, California, and the lands in between and far beyond, Gabrielle Zevin's Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is a dazzling and intricately imagined novel that examines the multifarious nature of identity, disability, failure, the redemptive possibilities in play, and above all, our need to connect, to be loved, and to love. Yes, it is a love story, but it is not one you've read before. It just sounds so good. And I do love games, so I can't wait. This might get read sooner than the summer. This might get bumped up to a winter read. I'm still not sure. I'm also going to be reading The House of the Spirits by Isabel Allende. So this is a book that I have heard kind of mixed things about. There are people who I know who have really, really loved it, and others who think it is not as good as it could be. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one as well, and really just expanding my horizons into more Latin American authors this year, with 100 Years of Solitude, The House of the Spirits, and if there are any other Latin American books you think that I should be adding to my TBR, leave those below in the comments. The last book I'm going to be including in my summer TBR pile is a young adult book. I got this for free from the New York Public Library as a part of an event they were doing, and it was part of their Books for All program, which is against banned books, and that is Each of Us a Desert. This is by Mark Oshiro, and this follows our two main characters. It is a coming of age story, and I haven't really heard anything about this book. I don't know what people have said about it. I've never seen anyone talk about it, so I am really looking forward to reading that. It starts off, our first page, it has this little desert at the top. It always began at night, when you had disappeared. So that's a pretty powerful first line. And the you is capitalized. So I am looking forward to reading this. I think it'll be a pretty quick read, despite its length. All right, and already thinking ahead to the very end of the year, that's September through December. I'm going to put everything together because in December, I tend to just read holiday books, and that pile is pretty small. So we're going to just put September through December all together, and we're going to get started with another book that has been sitting on my shelf for so long now, and that is Iron Widow by Jiran J. Zhao. I've been sitting on this book since 2022. I bought this at Blue Stockings in New York City. If you've never heard of them, they are a collective and co-op owned bookshop that focuses on queer, trans, and minority authors. Another book that I have already started and have not yet finished and will not be finishing until October of this year is The Book of Witching by C.J. Cook. I started this in October of 2024, and unfortunately I did not finish it, and as soon as November 1st hit, the mood for a witchy book was just dead. So unfortunately, I will be restarting this in October. I will be starting this earlier in the month rather than the end of the month so that I have time to finish it. And to be fair to myself, I did get married in October. It was a very busy month, so I think it's okay that she did not get finished this year. I also have 1,000 Splendid Suns to read, probably in October or September, early fall. This is also by Khaled Hosseini, another book that I have been told to read, and again, have heard nothing but good things about. However, I have heard The Kite Runner is better, so I'm not sure if I should read this one first, but hopefully there will be enough time between reading The Kite Runner in the spring and reading 1,000 Splendid Suns in the fall that I am able to just go into it with fresh eyes and not hold any expectations for this one. Next up, I have 2 dark academia books that I've been sitting on forever. Well, not really sitting on forever. That is only true about one of these. So the first is a book, again, I bought at the Strand, and it has my purchase date on here, 3/21/2022. So I did buy this a very long time ago, and that is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. The Goldfinch is one of my favorite books, so I am very much looking forward to reading this. I have heard it is pretty much the cornerstone of all dark academia books, and I really don't know what more to say about that. I mean, if you haven't heard about this book yet, I don't really know what more to say. It is the cornerstone of dark academia. And the other cornerstone of dark academia, I actually just got this for Christmas. I have been trying to read this every year for the last 3 or 4 years now, and every fall when I go to get it from the library, there is a hold so long that by the time I get it, it will be February, and that is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. This is probably one of people's favorite books that I hear talked about all the time, and I am just so happy to finally have my own copy so that I'm not fighting with everyone from the library for it. It is this beautiful hardcover with the original cover art. I know there is a newer edition that has a slightly different art. The inside, it's just gorgeous. I am so happy. My husband got me this for Christmas. It has been a book I've wanted to read for so long, and now I finally am going to get to do that. And lastly, I have 2 holiday books that I purchased this year because I have no self-control. Well, I purchased them in December. I purchased last year, still because I have no self-control, but unfortunately, I cannot read as fast as I think I can. And just like Halloween, October 31st ends, the time for witch books is over. December 26th, the time for Christmas books is over. So I have 2 books that I am excited to read in the upcoming year. And the first is Make the Season Bright by Ashley Herring Blake. She is making another appearance on my TBR. Quite frankly, I bought this book because I fell in love with the cover art when I saw it online. It's queer, it's Christmas. What more could I possibly want? So here, 2 exes find themselves stuck at the same house for Christmas in this holiday romance. Give it to me. How is this chaos going to unfold? It's also a pretty short story, so that'll be nice at the end of the year when things are busy. I don't have as much time to read, planning for the holidays, and trying to just take advantage of the beautiful lights and everything the season has to offer here in the city. And the final book for my 2025 Tackling My TBR shelf is The Nightmare Before Christmas. I watched Lexi Newly Nova's reading vlog of her reading this book, and I went to Barnes & Noble the next day and bought this book because it just sounded so unhinged. Like, it's the Prince of Christmas and the Prince of Halloween, yes, who they fall in love, and his name is Cole. Their names are Cole and Hex. There's a challenge for a princess's hand, but these princes don't want the princess. They want each other, honey. So this book just sounded so crazy and so unhinged, and honestly, I might read this during Halloween. This might not even make it to Christmas because I still want to read this even now. I know I just said before that like December 26th, Christmas is over. This just sounds so unhinged that I think I could pick this up at any time of the year and enjoy it. But I don't think this is the type of book that would be for everyone because it does sound so unhinged. And that is it. Those are the 25 books on my TBR shelf for 2025. I've gathered up all the unread books in my home, exactly 25 of them, and I will be tackling these throughout the year. So I hope you stay with me to see those wrap-ups and reviews as I continue my reading journey and my journey here on YouTube with you all. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, or leave a comment down below, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye!